Be happy anyway. You want to know the secret to having a great relationship with God? Be happy. You want to have a fruitful, abundant marriage? Be happy. You want to have a great family, a relationship with your family? Choose to be happy. And finally, if you want to have a great business and be a leader of your business, be happy. Now, as I say those things, if you caught yourself saying to yourself, okay, Jason, great, be happy. That sounds so wonderful, but you don't understand my situation. You don't understand what I'm going through. I want each and every person that's listening here today to know one thing. I've always struggled on finding a way to be happy, and there are a list of things that are going to battle us and block us from being happy. However, there's some things that we could do to unblock and to repel those things. And today I want to talk about those 4 areas of your life and how to stay happy. Hello leaders, my name is Jason Graziani and welcome to our channel, Leader for Life, where we take content specifically designed to help you to choose to be a leader in your life. I'm going to be talking about 4 major areas of one's life: their faith, their marriage, their family relationships, as well as their business. And I'm going to be talking today about the areas that are going to block us from really getting happy in those areas. And then I'm going to give you some tips on how to kind of unblock yourself. We recently made a video on anxiety and depression. And we talked about the fact that this is affecting so many people out there. And one of my goals in being a leader is that we have to understand where happiness comes from. And not just from a physical standpoint with the science and the chemicals that are released in your body, like dopamine, serotonin, those types of things. Not just that, but actual steps that you could take and something that you could apply in your everyday life in order to be happy. So as you see how I made a diagram here, we start off with our faith. I believe it's the most important, okay? And I'm going to tell you in green here the 2 areas that I focus on the most in order to get the most out of my faith. 1 is to serve, and 2 is to evangelize. I believe that in order to be happy in your faith, instead of questioning why this, why that, I don't understand why God, here's what I do. I don't try to understand. All I try to do is serve people, treat them right, which is a mission of my office and the Excellence in Building organization that I currently run, okay? And then I want to evangelize and spread the good news that somebody far greater, far better, my God, is out there for you, okay? But now let's talk a little bit about marriage. Some people say faith, family, finances, or faith, family, business. I actually will break up family from your spouse and your marriage, because I believe that they're 2 different things. I believe that your marriage is so important in your life and in your happiness and overall well-being that it's so important to break that off from your other relationship with your family members, because the spouse is more important. I have 3 primary functions in my marriage. And having had failed relationships like everybody else that's out there, I could tell you that these 3 really keep me focused and they really keep me happy. Number 1 is to love unconditionally no matter what. Number 2 is to protect. And number 3 is to provide. That's the secret to my happiness in my marriage. Now, if we look over here at the family side, as we look at family, you could be talking about parents, you could be talking about cousins, you could talk about children, or you could talk about great friends. Think of family with great friends included in there. There's 3 examples that I have. 1 is to love, 2 is to be the example, and 3 is to apply discipline. Okay? Then you look at our business, and whatever business and whatever group that you're currently leading in, 2 main important areas. Number 1 is treating people right. You'll find that sometimes people seek just the profit, or you'll find that some people seek just the fame, or they're looking for some self-righteous reason to be. No, block all that out. Everything is about the way you serve people and treat them right, as well as your values and principles and how you're teaching those value principles to others. Now, this area in red over here, these are the things that blocked me from being happy my entire life. I made a list of the most important ones. You agree which ones affect you the most. Anger, hurt, frustration, insecurities, being jealous, gossiping, disappointment, lying and backstabbing and doubting, lack of trust, communication, greed, ego, abandonment, inadequate, resentment, ridicule, manipulation, overwhelmed, and I obviously can go on. This isn't about just reading words that make us feel frustrated and tired. Think about all the relationships that you've been in or the situations that you've been in where maybe one of those is the reason that you didn't apply happiness in your life. And if there's anything that we could do for one another, it's to help each other be more happy. I want to give you some tips in each of these areas. Now, you'll see right here I have a stick figure, you, right in the middle. Written very small are the 4 areas as I process myself individually, okay? Here's how I will process. I will start spiritually. You heard me start with God a moment ago. I will process spiritually. In other words, how happy are you spiritually? Then I will work down and I will go to my head and I will say, how happy am I mentally? What's my mind going through? What's on my mind? Then I will go down a little bit farther and ask myself emotionally, how's my heart? How am I feeling emotionally? Am I happy emotionally? And then finally, my body. Am I feeling great physically? How am I doing physically? So let's take a look at a couple bits of advice. For physical, let's start there. I'm going to give you 5 things that you could do to increase your happiness today, specifically with your physical self. You can smile. You can exercise. You could eat properly. You could get the right amount of sleep. And you could breathe properly. Yes, breathe properly. I remember I went to a psychologist and I remember spending an entire session just learning how to breathe. And he observed me and he looked at me and he says, Jason, you don't breathe right. I don't see anything like you don't even know how to breathe. And I go, what do you mean I don't know how to breathe? And I already felt my anxiety. He goes, see, you're doing it right there. I could see your anxiety going up. And I didn't even realize I never learned how to properly breathe. These are some areas that you could work on. And I would go look up some of these areas. All 5 of these will help you feel happier physically right away, okay? Emotionally, 5 things that you could do to help yourself emotionally feel happier. 1, you could reward yourself. Anytime that you have a big undertaking or a project, I know the guilt and shame that drives us as entrepreneurs and as leaders. Sometimes we don't want to do something for ourselves because we're in survival mode or we're taking care of our family or we're taking care of our business and there's no time for us. If we don't get a chance to release dopamine after a reward given to us by ourselves because we accomplished something great, our mindset is not really going to want to go try to climb that hill again in the future because it doesn't associate a victory with a reward. And so make sure that you reward yourself. Number 2, no comparing. No comparing. Be very careful when you look on social media or when you look down the street and you watch other people at certain areas. Let's just say your goal is to become a millionaire. Just one thing that I was told by a millionaire, he says, Jason, when you become a millionaire, nobody's going to ask you how long it took you to get there. They're just going to see you there and want to have your life. And I remember being very insecure about myself if I could be that successful one day. And I could tell you that not comparing myself to somebody else and not comparing yourself to other people is going to help you stay happier with what you currently have. Number 3, real relationships. Not relationships that are built on false narratives, not relationships that are fake or that you're posturing. You have to genuinely like being around each other. Let me give you a hint on what that is. If you have to say outside, we really like spending time together. If you really did like spending time together, you wouldn't need to say that. You wouldn't need to say that. So take an inventory and take a look at the people that are around you and find out, do you really enjoy their presence or are you just saying that to yourself? Mentorship, number 4. This is a big area on how to get happier emotionally, is to make sure that you're having people spot check you and help you. Great job for subscribing to our channel here and paying attention to videos like this. And I encourage you to find other people that are like-minded with you that could serve as a mentor to you. Obviously, it's ideal that you could meet with them face-to-face, but sometimes you may have to go to videos or books or other ways to find your mentorship. And finally, number 5, knowing how to accept loss. Understanding that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And sometimes things may feel like they're taken from you. But if you look at possessions like they were yours to begin with, or entitlements like they were yours to begin with, I found those people to be a lot less happy. If you look at the world like it's just rented to you temporarily because you're not leaving the world with anything anyways, I think you'll find yourself a lot more happy because you could accept something being taken from you. Next, 5 steps on helping yourself mentally. So we gave 5 steps on physically, then we gave some emotionally, and the last ones I want to give you here today are to help you mentally. First, gratitude. They say an attitude of gratitude. Make sure that every day that you find something, when I get up in the morning, I've got something on my wall and it's the only thing on that wall. And it's where I put my wedding ring, it's where I have my watch, it's where I have my wallet, and it says, Dear Jesus, I want to take a moment not to ask you for anything, but just to thank you for everything that I have. And it's a way I start my morning, and it's what I read in the morning, and it makes sure that I have an attitude of gratitude. Number 2, compliment people. Compliment people, compliment people. We already like the way it feels when somebody does that to us. Imagine how many other people you could lift up their mental state, their emotional state, their physical state, their spiritual state by just simply complimenting them. If you see somebody doing something cool, saying something cool, or say something nice to them. It's going to make your mental state much better. Number 3, conflict management. How you approach conflict, not avoiding or making excuses for it, but just dealing with the conflict face to face. It's easier said than done, like most of these tips are, but if you deal with the conflict instead of avoiding it, you're going to find yourself to be happier. Read and write. Read and write. It's one of the lost arts today. The more and more that we watch videos and less that we read, or the more and more that we don't handwrite and actually write our thoughts out, I think it's having a detrimental effect to our happiness overall. What do I know? We'll see if I'm right, but I think that if we find time to write a little bit more our thoughts, maybe it's a journal, maybe it's a diary, maybe it's a letter to somebody, we tend to be happier. And finally, organize yourself. Making sure that your life isn't full of clutter, that you run a schedule, that you don't wing your life, but you actually live life intentionally. I think you're going to find yourself to be a lot happier. Couple final tips that I wanted to give you before this lesson was over. First, the actions of others need to stop having an effect on you as a person. This was one of the hardest things for me to overcome, and I still deal with it on a daily basis. Meaning, saying if you're in a relationship and you say, that person just doesn't make me happy. Or if you're trying to follow your faith and say, I'm just not happy being a Christian. Or you're running a business and you say, the people that I work with, they just don't make me happy. I want you just to take a moment and take a step back and know this. I want to empower you for a second. Allow me to empower you. Whatever they do and say has nothing to do with your level of happiness. That's not a shot, and I'm not trying to take the excuse away. I'm trying to empower you with what I'm saying. You absolutely have the power to keep your happiness no matter what other people do and say about you. I heard this from Aaron Rodgers, the football player, recently. He said, sometimes the loudest person in the room isn't always right. Sometimes the first person that speaks in the room isn't always right. In other words, you might have somebody screaming something from the high heavens. Maybe it's a boss, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend. Maybe somebody keeps saying something that's not true and you want to fight them or you want to push back. I just want you to know something. Sometimes you don't have to fight and push back. Sometimes them just sitting there and saying that stuff and you choosing to be happy anyways was the test, and you could pass it if you choose to be happy. Many leaders are driven by insecurities, so they don't like independent thinkers. If you're watching this, you probably find yourself like either dabbling on wanting to be a leader, or you really want to jump in and you want to be a leader already. If that's you, I want you to know something. You're probably an independent thinker. And if you're an independent thinker and you share it with people in positions of power don't like independent thinkers. They're not going to want to hear your viewpoint. And so sometimes they're going to make you feel small, make you feel stupid, make you feel belittled, or they want to marginalize you or diminish you in some type of way. Don't allow them, because they could say what they want to say and that's their opinion, but you can choose to be happy the whole way through. God made no mistakes with you. There were no mistakes made with you. So if you don't like something about yourself, just know this. It was there for a reason. That quality is there for a reason. You could always improve, but who you are is who you were meant to be. And so although we all want to improve, make sure that you know God did not make any mistakes with you, and power of choice can hurt you or help you. So choose wisely. And finally, the best thing you could do for your children is to love their mother unconditionally. Where did that come from, Jason? I was a great mentor that said that to me one time. He said, you know what the greatest thing you could do for your children is? And I thought, love them, discipline them. He said, love their mother unconditionally all the time. That's the best thing you could do with your children. And finally, you generally have less friends than you think you do. So when you find out that somebody's not your friend, or you find out that that relationship's not going to advance and continue, it was probably not supposed to. It should have no effect on your happiness. Hey leaders, I hope that today's content helped you out. I hope that you choose to be happy and you understand that whether it's your faith life, your spouse life, your family life, or your business and your team, I hope that you understand that you completely control your happiness, and that although we have a lot of areas that are going to push against us and they're going to try to block our happiness, that we also have some tools that we could turn to improve ourselves, whether it's our spirit, whether it's our mind, our hearts, or our bodies. If you haven't done so already, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel, Leader for Life. I'd love for you to comment, leave a comment, let us know what type of content do you want in the future to see, and we'll see if our production team could put that together. With that being said, take care, God bless, stay happy, and I'll see you guys at the top. Bye-bye.